Founded in 1996, Uganda Wildlife Authority is Uganda's government agency responsible for the management and protection of wildlife in and outside protected areas. The authority manages 10 national parks, including Queen Elizabeth, Lake Mburo, Murchison Falls, Kidepo Valley and Kibale national parks. Others include Mount Elgon, Rwenzori Mountains, Semuliki, Mgahinga Gorilla, and Bwindi Impenetrable national parks. These national parks have greatly boosted tourism, the country's leading foreign exchange earner, contributing to over $2 billion every year to Uganda's GDP. For many years, these national parks have shaped lives of millions of Ugandans, especially surrounding communities, through community conservation programs like revenue sharing, sport hunting, problem animal management, conservation education, and awareness. This is our community work. Every community surrounding Uganda's national parks has been a direct beneficiary of the many activities initiated by the Uganda Wildlife Authority in support of their social and economic transformation. Some of these activities have been aimed at boosting agriculture, the backbone of Uganda's economy, and have increased agricultural productivity and food security in the communities.
Uganda Wildlife Authority was established by law in 1996 by the Wildlife Statute, which is currently the Uganda Wildlife Act 2019. It gives mandate to Uganda Wildlife Authority to manage all wildlife in and outside protected areas.
Twali tulina ensolo eziva wano mu paaka nezoonoona endimiro zaffe wano. Twakolagana ne baawuwa basooka ne bateekako trenchi, naye nga bw'omanyi enjovu erina amagezi mangi. Yali eteekamu ettaka mu trenchi ne ziyitawo n'endala ensolo ne ziyitawo. Ekyo bwe kyalema ffe ne twekolamu omulimu gw'okukuuma ekiro. Tubeera nga tukola bwe tutyo, naye emyaka bwe gyatuuka ekyasooka okubeera ekirungi nnyo kye tusiima kati ye fensi y'amasannyalaze.
Here in Queen Elizabeth we have so far fenced 58.7 kilometers of the park boundary, and where the fence is, you will clearly see no animal crosses over. If you see the structure of the fence, it is designed in such a way that there are what we call the outriggers facing towards the park, because it is assumed that the animals will always be coming from the park. So before it reaches the fence, it gives it an electric shock, and that will send it away.
Kasookedde baleeta amasannyalaze gano, tuli mu myaka oba nga5, tuwali ensolo yonna eyinza kuyitawo ku masannyalaze ago n'eyingira wano. Luli nga tebanateekako fensi, kumpi endimiro zonna zino nga zifa ku lwa njovu. Enjovu erina amaanyi mangi, n'abantu oluusi batwaliramu. Naye kati ekisooka abaana bali mu ssomero tubakyabagoba lwa fiizi, ekyokubira emmere weeri, n'ekirala tulina enyingiza ku lwa fensi eno.
The area I'm manning, it is almost a food basket for the whole constituency of Konzo West constituency. In that area, that's where you have a chunk of land where people can grow crops.
Due to the ever-growing human and animal population, human-wildlife conflicts have been inevitable around many protected areas, prompting appropriate interventions from the wildlife body.
We started doing several different interventions to stop animals from getting out, because when they get out, actually, there are some dangerous animals like elephants, like buffaloes and whatever. When they get out, they either destroy community crops, that is destroying their livelihood, or they even at times kill, because when communities are trying to defend their crops from the wildlife, they now come across this animal who doesn't understand them.
We have rangers whenever the communities, these animals go and destroy their crops like elephants and buffaloes, then we respond in a timely manner.
And we have actually dug trenches around the park. These trenches are 2 meters deep and 2 meters wide. And these trenches have been helping us a lot to deal with issues to do with human-wildlife conflicts, where we have animals that do not jump like buffaloes, like elephants. This somehow reduced on issues of human-wildlife conflict.
We have worked with partners to recruit, train, and equip volunteer community members, which we are calling community wildlife scouts. They now also bolster the efforts.
And in some areas, we have used the, what we call chili. This is a hot pepper. Once you mix it with the maybe sawdust and what have you, you burn it and what have you, it sends out very repugnant smell. And many animals run away from that kind of smell. When elephants get scared, when they hear the sound of bees. So when you align the boundary with the beehives and they are colonized, elephants will not go there.
Whenever they detect that there are bees in their neighborhood, they always try to avoid that area.
Locals surrounding these areas have further taken advantage of the methods used to control human-wildlife conflicts, especially beehives, to supplement on their domestic well-being.
Beekeeping doesn't only help in stopping elephants from going out of the park to the community, but also it helps people improve their lives.
I get honey from the hives, and then I add value from honey. I get wax, I get jelly and candle. I've managed to build a house. I've managed to take my child to the university.
In 1998, Uganda Wildlife Authority unveiled revenue sharing as another community conservation program packaged to support district local governments in extension of social services to the park's neighboring communities.
If you enter the park now, 20% of the gate entrance you pay there is separated. It goes to a revenue sharing account.
This is done through projects that are identified by them through a series of exchange meetings.
And according to the policy, there are the community members adjacent to the park that plan for that money. It is some sort of indirect compensation. So they plan for the activities that will benefit them, either economically or socially.
From revenue sharing, we are able to build this circle. And this circle now we are using it as a business. People are keeping their money within the circle. They are saving, then they are borrowing, so it is a business.
Revenue sharing has done enough for us. They tell the communities adjacent to the protected area to raise their projects, and they are given funds.
From 2004, Murchison Falls has given out money amounting to about 17 billion Uganda shillings.
These funds have partly contributed to Uganda's education achievements in both universal primary education and universal secondary education programs in nearly all communities bordering the national parks.
We have constructed a primary school, 2-classroom block at Harukungu Primary School in Harukungu Parish in Isango Sub-County.
We had the poor classrooms without cement, without windows, but now you have helped us in so many ways. You constructed us the 2 blocks with 4 classrooms. Many people have joined our school. Last year, we had 522 pupils. Now we are having 906 pupils in our school.
When we had no these permanent buildings, we used to go to church. At least when it is threatening to rain, we used to tell children that at least you can go home before it rains. But as we talk now, at least we have where to put them. As I talk now, we have children in boarding section. They sleep in this building that Lake Mburo gave us.
In this sub-county, there was no any secondary school which would make the learners access secondary education.
This school has impacted a lot of benefits to this other community. And the development was initiated by UWA. Before government came in 2015, UWA came in and constructed their 2 blocks here, and then staff quarter, and then a latrine block was also constructed by UWA.
You see, schools here are springing up. Karanga is becoming the best even in education area, because the money goes from the revenues.
Local leaders in some hard-to-reach communities have preferred their revenue-sharing benefits to be channeled towards extension of essential health services at their health centers.
I have 3 parishes that neighbor Queen Elizabeth. That's Kayanja, that is within it is some sort of a sanctuary. I have Katolu, then Bukangara. So Kayanja being a sanctuary, that's where we have a health center. And being a hard-to-reach place, health officers trek long distance and they pass within the park.
Through the same arrangement of the revenue sharing, we have constructed a number of health units. At Kisenyi, for example, at Kayanja, and the community is very appreciative of that.
Some of this money has been used to put up the staff quarters for the health workers, like in Rambira, and also here in Rwabarata, there has been put a structure that is going to work as a maternity for the women.
One other program that we have done to support communities is the health center. That is Uganda Health Center 3. This is the only health center within that sub-county called Bulisa. It is a big health center. For the last almost 9 years, all the infrastructure, be it the wards, be it the accommodation for staff, all the structures, they have been constructed courtesy of money from Murchison Falls National Park to the neighboring communities.
But the facility has done great work for our people within this area, because those years back, these people could travel. They could move to Bulisa, that is a center for in town, around 20 kilometers from here.
By the fact that you brought for us this facility here, it has helped us a lot. Here they offer for us antenatal services, that is, they offer for us immunizations. They have outreaches. So far, they've even introduced these medicines for even people who have AIDS. The health conditions, at least it has improved, because people have gotten the facility which they can reach at least in time.
Conservation sensitization and awareness has been a key instrument in maintaining a smooth relationship between Uganda Wildlife Authority and its neighbors, especially communities that border the national parks.
Who embraced community conservation, what we call community conservation, to provide a link between communities and Wildlife Authority in order to solicit for support from the communities.
We work closely with these communities. Around Queen Elizabeth, we have trained 172 wildlife scouts. For them, they live with the communities, and if an animal crosses to the community, if it's a simple animal, they are trained in animal behavior, and they can chase those ones back.
And we have also radio talk shows. We have 3-4 radios, Karamaja FM and Radio Rupin in actually side. So we have all those radios that we share information. We make sure at least these communities realize that this park where they are seated on at least has a kickback.
There is now good relationship between park management and the community. Many people from the community were disturbing these animals, especially the poachers. They could kill the animals, but now the park management has come out. They have sensitized the people. They have taught them the importance of staying with these animals. They have taught people of the community how they can also benefit from the animals that stay or come to their land. So there is community tourism around. All that one is done by the park.
This program has been extended to learning institutions in the neighboring communities and has promoted education as a preserve for the future of wildlife conservation.
We go out to the schools and communities to educate them about the park, because they need to understand what makes the park, how they benefit from it, what examples does it give in relation to the livelihood out there.
The national park gives the schools, the neighboring schools, the free entry to study and touch and see physical animals and birds found in the national park.
Some of the wild animals I know are zebras, giraffes, hyenas, lions, and so more.
We take them to classes at the education center in Mwea, and we take them through detailed biology, detailed ecology, some detailed science, really for them to appreciate and feel what they studied in class is really being touched or felt directly.
And we also had the exchange visits. We identified some other few guys to make sure at least they went to other areas where there is a conservation. They learn how the communities who are seated near the park are doing, how they are being involved in the management of these conflicts and the management of wildlife which are outside the community land.
Accessibility to the national parks has granted its neighboring communities opportune moments for resource use, and it has further provided employment opportunities to these communities.
We have a program of what we call resource access. There are certain areas where communities are allowed to pick certain resources which they can't get easily elsewhere. Things like firewood, especially in forested areas, things like herbs, many traditional medicine we know as communities. So some still know these are the things that actually treat certain diseases.
The primary beneficiary of these protected areas are the neighboring communities. So knowing that there are resources they want from the park, which they don't have, we go to them and they identify, inform us of what they want.
Tujjamu ensaka eziba zikutte ng'ensolo tezikyalabika, okugeza ng'obusaana, emiseese, obulemanjovu, egyo emiti naddala egy'amaggwa. Kati paaka neetangaala ensolo ne ziva mu bantu ne zidda mu paaka wakati. Ebyo ebiti bye tuba tuggyeemu tuweebwa olukusa olw'okubifulumya wabweru ne tubyokyamu amanda oba okutundamu enku.
Uganda Wildlife Authority has further identified needs of the farming communities and has supported farmers with timely water supply during dry spells and also eased their access to markets for their agricultural produce.
One of the challenges community members have is access to water, both for domestic animals and for themselves in their homestead. So these dams have been put in place to help them.
Kuba ekitundu kyaffe tekiina nsulo. Tufuna kati ng'enkuba bw'etonnye, kati bwe tusimira ddamu amazzi gano ne geekuŋŋaanyizaawo. Ekyeya bwe kitaba kinene tusobola okuwangaala n'amazzi ago okumala omwaka mulamba ne tulinda enkuba lw'eddamu okutonya.
Twali tulina akakubo akagenda mu kitundu kyaffe okunoonya emmere yaffe, naye kati paaka yajja n'olwaffe ne barugazuwa, kati emmotoka ne ziyitamu bulungi, kati ne zitwala amatooke ne ziyamba akasente k'okutuyamba ku maka gaffe. Amatooke gaali gengera munankani mu lusuku, kati twali tutuguza amatooke gengera mu lusuku, abaana baali batubasoma tubeerawo, naye kati kiri bulungi.
Lake Mburo National Park is the smallest national park in Uganda, regarded as a community national park, with almost all its wildlife staying on community land. Its communities have embraced their coexistence through formation of a conservancy to live with wildlife as a business.
This national park is more of a community national park whereby most of the wildlife stays on the community land, and the communities around Lake Mburo National Park have lived harmoniously with the wildlife.
After several awareness programs from OWA, then they decided to stay together, then form their association, which will help them to gain from this wildlife.
These national parks have supported a number of livelihood programs for women and youth groups, and these have improved on their standards of living in those communities.
We believe that when the community adjacent to the national park is really financially stable, or at least when the livelihoods are improved, it means that also the illegal activities to the national park will reduce.
We have quite a number of programs that we advance to the community youth groups, and in particular, Rwamhuku Youth Beekeeping Community Group. We have supported it, we have lobbied with different stakeholders to support these groups in order to improve and get alternative sources of income so that they can coexist with the wildlife.
The park allowed us to put the beehives from the areas that were allocated to us by the park authorities, and the income that we get from the honey, we use it to boost our family incomes, to go to schools and advance in learning.
Then even they supported the group for women called Abesigana with the bulls. There is another one in Nyanga called the Nyanga Bull Fattening Group. So they were also given some support.
In addition to livelihood improvement, we also have resource users that do fishing on the lake.
Paka yatuyamba netuweereza amaato ga bwereere tetwagura tuvuba ebyennyanja tujjamu ne tutunda ebyennyanja ne tufuna sente zisobodde okusomesa abaana baffe, zisobodde okugula ebibanja, zisobodde okugyamu ebintu bingi.
Poaching has also been contained in some national parks through provision of alternative sources of income in some communities where these illegal activities have been dominant.
What we have done is that we have identified some of these poachers and we have engaged them to do livelihood projects.
Before he joined the group, he was a poacher, and actually they used to kill Nile buffalo and hippopotamus and some other small animals in the park. The way he stopped poaching, after this group was called in the park, the leader called him and started telling him, we want you to join the group because he was having a talent in this instrument. And if you are joining our group, you have to do what? To live with this illegal killing of animals in the game park.
We are targeting areas where poaching is very intense. We have trained them in making candles. We have a cedar program where we trained people in tailoring, motorcycle repair, craft making, and a lot of communities have benefited from all these interventions.
So we really engage ourselves in many developmental activities that we would want those communities to focus on rather than dwelling on the park resource.
These communities have been further equipped with relevant skills and others accommodated into performing groups to promote conservation awareness through music, dance and drama.
With the drama groups, they procured items that would help them in passing the message.
Alo Kidepo, aninya bola etoria mukai, anenge velinga etoria mukai. When we are performing, we must tell the people avoid land degradation. That is cutting trees. Avoid wildfires. Poaching should be avoided because the more poaching we do, the more we decline our tourism potential.
By doing all these interventions, the impact has been huge because at least we are now getting cases where communities themselves come and they report to us people who are illegally going inside the park to poach.
Through these activities, communities have used Uganda's national parks to resuscitate their deteriorating culture through their performances to the visitors.
And they have promoted also what we call cultural tourism. They are cultural dances.
From time to time, we have ever told the people to see how we can ensure culture matches with conservation. People get income when they buy one stick of yours, which is good from the conservation.
Some national parks have acted as walls of defense to cattle-keeping communities against constant attacks by both armed warriors and cattle rustlers along border districts.
We have deployed rangers along for human-wildlife conflict, and they also try to make sure they stop these cattle rustlers coming in.
If these cattle rustlers are passing in our protected areas, we usually respond, and at times we have recovered even cows and handed them over to the authorities. So the aspect of security, we take it very serious to ensure that our tourists are secure in the protected areas, to ensure property is secure of the people that surround our neighboring communities, because we work hand in hand.
In 2019, Parliament of Uganda amended the Uganda Wildlife Act to strengthen Uganda Wildlife Authority's relationship with communities that have been grossly affected by wildlife. Compensation has brought hope among the affected communities and also widened wildlife leverage with communities surrounding Uganda's national parks.
Currently, it is in the law that we compensate loss of life, property. So we have tried to do everything possible to compensate for all wildlife, including outside protected areas. As Uganda Wildlife Authority, we have put interventions in place to minimize the conflict.
Through these activities, Uganda Wildlife Authority has managed to conserve, economically develop, and sustainably manage the wildlife and protected areas of Uganda in partnership with neighboring communities and other stakeholders for the benefit of the people of Uganda and the global community.